Ciao Antoine e Fabrizio.
Hello.
Ciao, ciao.
Va bene?
Benissimo.
Perfect.
I'm very happy to see you gentlemen again. Thank you so much for taking a time to sit down again with me. I promise this time it won't be that long. We're trying to keep it short. Last time we had you two gentlemen on the show. It was an amazing show. Energy was amazing. We discussed a lot of topics, but actually the most important thing is we didn't have time to answer the questions of our dear viewers. So you gentlemen were willing to sit down again with me and answer all the questions for our viewers. And before I forget, because Fabrizio just reminded me, is the one that asks the best question will receive a unique handmade sketch by Fabrizio sent to them at home. So guys, stay tuned, send in your questions. Today we're not going to do the 7 DAs list questions, so don't worry, no new ones. And we're not going to have discussions about colors and books and etc. Although, Antoine, from now on, I'm calling you a musketeer, huh, due to the last session. So it's fun. We learned something personal, and I really love it. So thank you for that. But something that I do want to do is our wrist check. Did you guys strap on a different watch today, or are we still on the steel blue Octo?
For me, it's the Steel Blue Octo. Maybe for Antoine.
Yeah, I'm playing with Octo. I'm playing with Octo. I've got the latest rose gold Octo Finissimo, which was launched together with the steel. So it's a superb elegance. Probably also a milestone. It's going, the gold is going perfectly with this watch again because of the elegance, the thinness of it. Well, just I'm having a dinner outside tonight with a very limited number of people. Believe me, we can't do many things. So I've gone for the more let's say the upper version of Octo Finissimo, but I stick to Finissimo though.
I love that watch. And when I believe it was 2 years ago, Fabrizio, that you launched the fully satin blasted red gold on red gold bracelet and dial, that blew my mind because both my brother and I always wanted a gold on gold watch. And we never pulled the trigger because we were under 40 and we said, most of the watches aren't that, let me choose the word carefully, elegant. Right? If you go gold on gold, it's a different world. We both have gold watches on leather, but gold on gold, that's a different universe. And when I saw the satin finish one, that blew my mind because I don't think there's any other maker or watch out there today that has a full satin case and strap in gold. So I'm still saving up for that watch, and I'm totally in love with that. But this one has polished facets, right, Antoine?
Yes, it's actually the bezel is fine brushed, but the facets of the case are polished. Yeah. So we play with the different structure of the case.
Yeah, nice. So I put on the ultra narrow, and I did that for the narrative of the story of the Octo and how diverse the watch actually is, and that's amazing. So you can go, basically you launch the most classical version of steel or gold satin polished steel is usually what brands start off with. You guys kept that for the last, where you guys did this and the evolution and going slimmer, satin finished. So I have the titanium. So that was my favorite. And when it was launched in Basel World, the whole team that caters me said, no, go for leather. I said, no. When I saw the watch, I said, this is the new Nautilus, Royal Oak, etc. I said, this is the new thing. I need the titanium strap. And I think now my comment has been shared by many aficionados in this industry, and I think they concur. So thank you for sharing what you guys are wearing today. Before we dive into the questions, I'm super happy you put a plateau in front of you with the marvelous novelties of this year. Can we share a bit of that news and do a little deep dive? because from a distance, I spot the smallest tourbillons in the world, the Serpenti Sedatoris tourbillon. I spot, obviously, the new aluminium. I spot, I hope it's the titanium tourbillon chronograph. So what beauties do you have for us? And please give us some inside scoops. Fabrizio.
But, you know, this is we have very important watches for us today. First, we have the Serpenti Seduttori, is the smallest tourbillon today that we have on the market. It was an amazing, this is an amazing achievement for us after the saga of the Finissimo with this incredible way to miniaturize the components. We decided to apply the same approach on ladies. And this watch is very important for us because after more or less 50 years, we are back with the mechanical movement on Serpenti. And Serpenti Seduttori is the most important, let me say, collection in Serpenti range, because it's the watch that you can wear every day with adjustable, with the deployant buckle, with, for example, metal bracelet. And on the other hand, you have the most precious version with leather strap, pavé dial, full pavé case, and the tourbillon version. It's a very important segment for us. The grand complication movement, mechanical movement with the high-end execution. It's very important market today. And the Serpenti Seduttori maybe is the ultimate Serpenti until today, because, you know, we continue to think about the Serpenti. But let me say this most complete range, because you have different execution with different bracelet, with different design. We can play with different materials, as you can see, with the gold bracelet and diamonds, with the steel and gold bracelet. So it's very versatile. And we have even the grand complication watch. So the Serpenti Seduttori for us, it's a very important collection. It's the Serpenti that we miss the collection a watch like this, because we have the Serpenti to Bogas. It's a Serpenti that wrap in your wrist. But today with the Serpenti Seduttori, we have a very important range, and we have a different way to wear a Serpenti watch. And this is for us is the most important things, because we find new client and we continue to serve the loyal client.
So if I may ask a question, Fabrizio, first of all, I love that watch. So one question I had for you: how was it to take a icon, which is the Serpenti, and the tubogas, for those that don't know, is the twirl around. We see the picture behind us. That's the wrist that twirled around the wrist. Iconic and still in production. Very difficult to make. What a lot of people don't know, the spring bar that's inside is stainless steel, but custom made every time by hand in your own manufacturers, which I've seen with my own eyes. And I have customers who've been wearing it for not years but decades, and it keeps its shape and quality. So that's amazing. And then they coil the precious metal around it, which is stainless steel or gold, as you see in the picture behind us. So how did you go about to evolve that into the Sedatori, which in Italian means seduction, if I guess correctly?
Yes, exactly. It was a long process, because we start to imagine the evolution, not the evolution, a new Serpenti more or less 5 years ago. The idea was to capitalize on this hexagonal bracelet, hexagonal link, that is a part of our heritage, because as you can see in our Serpenti vintage, we have this scale made with an hexagonal pattern. So the idea was to design a Serpenti without any elements that come from the body of the Serpenti. And the idea was to have this hexagonal pattern to have a brand new bracelet. Very smooth and absolutely have to be a piece of jewelry. This was the aim. So very simple element, super comfortable on the wrist, with the adjustable link, deployant buckle, very smooth, with a very unique Bulgari DNA in terms of design. So the idea starting from the bracelet, and at a certain moment we decided to introduce a new eye jewelry watch, but it was a bit too early, And I think it was not so interesting to have another eye jewelry watch. So we freeze a bit the concept, and we start to imagine an evolution of our serpenti watch. So not just a new eye jewelry execution for the bracelet, but we start to study a new way to combine the serpenti iconic case, the drop shape case, with this new bracelet. And we start more or less 2 years after the first sketch. So we start to develop the new bracelet with a new creativity. It was just a new eye jewelry execution. We say maybe it's not enough. We freeze the project and we start 2 years after to redesign completely the watch. And the idea was to introduce a new serpenti, very versatile, and with the deployant buckle, with the steel bracelet, steel and gold, gold and diamond, so to open to new clients. The most difficult parts, I'm honest with you, Alon, it was the link between the case and the bracelet. Because you know the serpenti tubo gas is an asymmetric case, so we don't have we don't have any bracelet at 12 o'clock. We have just a bracelet that comes from 6 o'clock. So the idea was to increase the design of the case, to have a very thin case, flat case, to play with different dial, because the serpenti tubo gas is a carved case, and to have something more comfortable. But it's more comfortable, it's not the right words. It's to have something that you can wear every day. So it has to be more versatile and more everyday use. And the idea was to add these two elements on the side of the case to hold the bracelet at 12 and 6 o'clock. So as you can see, the design is immediately recognizable. It looks like the serpenti tubo gas case, but it's a brand new watch. This is the secret, to design something that is already in mind for our clients, but something that is a brand new product for new clients. So each time in terms of design, you have to balance from something that is a brand new, but at the same time, it's something that is recognizable as a piece of the company. Because otherwise you have to start to explain why this product. So it was not so easy, because when you touch an iconic product, 99% you can make mistakes. Everybody knows serpenti tubo gas is a bit a signature of our brand today. And the idea was to evolve this concept with the new products that you can wear when you don't wear a serpenti tubo gas watch. So it's at the end, it's the same client. That today it's the opportunity to wear two different serpenti in two different moments.
Yeah, congratulations, because I think you guys made a tremendous product there. When I saw it for the first time, the bracelet indeed blew my mind.
Yeah,
it's new. It's super difficult after all these almost 100 years plus of watchmaking, wrist watchmaking, and jewelry design, already hundreds of years, to come up with a total new link and strap. Yeah. It's very contemporary but timeless. And when I saw it, I'm like, how did you attach the strap into the case? Because it's not ellipse, it's not really an egg. For those that are listening on our podcast, Google it afterwards. As far as I know, there are only two watches in the industry that have a bit of this shape, which is you guys and Rien du Naples by Breguet. As far as I know, there's no other that work with an asymmetrical case like that. Yeah. And I think that you guys also do an amazing job by listening to your markets and respecting the different types of consumers that can appreciate the sophistication of Bulgari, because I don't think the entry level is high. I think it's very, very competitively priced. If you take the stainless steel version, two-tone, gold, high jewelry, and then high complication. And that's my additional question. You guys launched, if I'm not mistaken, last year, the Diva with the malachite dial. You guys did a minute repeater. Yes. Also, I believe the smallest, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the thinnest minute repeater that you have on the market.
Okay, so usually these complications are obviously bought by men. That's also something that you guys excel in, because you never neglect women. A lot of watch brands focus solely on men. You guys are very strong, obviously, in this domain for women as well. So, Antoine, a question for you. Did you guys answer to the demand in the market for these high complications like a minute repeater and like a tourbillon that small because there is a market, or you guys have such an intrinsic need to innovate and this motivation to push the envelope so far that you keep on breaking world records, not only on the Octo platform? So where does where do these products come from?
I think it's a little bit the chicken and the egg, you know. But what's for sure is today we have a very strong conviction that innovation in movements is the essence of authorology, and this is what we are fighting for. And it's beyond the conviction. Today, it's a culture. It's an in-house culture. Probably I'll first come back to the initial question. Where does this quest come from, and why do we move away from? I mean, why do we come with exceptional caliber, not only in men but also in ladies, in terms of dimensions? I think there is with the Octo Finissimo initially there is this instinct that you're looking for. As a Roman jeweler, as a Roman designer, you're looking for the ultimate elegance. And even though there has been this trend that pushed for very, very big and bulky watches, I say, talking with Fabrizio, this question of ultimate elegance, the perfect fit to your wrist, or like a suit that should actually value the shapes of your body and accompany it, led to this question of a super slim movement. The beauty when things happen was that we had the technical capacity to meet the designer's demand. And this encounter inside our manufacturing site, inside our studio, led to this Finissimo collection of calibers, breaking records one after the other. What is important the question that initially came out was, why not? Why not making this very ultra slim movement? And probably we've cultivated this question year after year after year to eventually lead to the position where we are today, where we constantly ask ourselves, why don't we go one step further? And it's not necessarily Fabrizio asking or heads of movement development asking. It can come from many, many people. Ideas about miniaturization, about micro mechanisms, come from the whole team in Le Sentier or in Neuchâtel. There is this, and that's why I'm talking about the culture. Now there is a real interest for micro mechanism, and this clearly is led by, as I said, from a men's side, by designer's perspective of developing really the perfect beauty as far as watchmaking is concerned. But obviously, being a jeweler, the question remains absolutely the same when you're talking about ladies watches, and of course calibers for ladies watches. Yeah, Fabrizio rightly said that you want to with Serpenti, we developed a watch that is very easy to wear on the wrist, that is a nice size, nice dimension, nice size. And clearly, to be able to deliver high-end watches, the ultimate expression of the jeweler on the wrist, means that we need to propose also the ultimate expression of calibers inside those cases. And naturally, this quest for miniaturization led us to move out of the Finissimo saga, and to take advantage of our learning and our culture, as I said, and push the question on calibers for ladies. And basically, we came with this first tourbillon caliber, which, as Fabrizio rightly pointed, is the smallest on the market today, but the slimmest were of the whole history, with the 17 millimeter in terms of width. And this is I can already tell you that this is the first of various developments that we're going to do in the ladies size, in the ladies business as well. This is where we belong. I mean, as much as what we do on men, and I would say you know, appetite comes while eating, and the more we develop, the more we grow, the more we build expertise, the more we challenge ourselves. And today, because of this reputation that we've built in the industry, we have the great chance to see people coming to us. It can be young watchmakers, it can be famous, very famous watchmakers, it can be companies who are working on this notion of micro mechanics and decreasing the size, decreasing dimensions, while delivering the chronometric performance, obviously. And so we are building this ecosystem around us, inside the company, obviously, but also around us, which pushes us to move forward. And let's say we're entered into a really virtual circle, and our job is now to nurture it even more. But really clearly, the initial move was the encounter of our watchmakers in our studio. Today, it's a very dynamic move that keeps rolling, and I can anticipate to you that there will be new interesting innovation when we meet in Geneva.
Amazing. I can't wait. You said something, thank you for that. Very interesting. And I really love doing these sessions, because although I know you guys for many years, I've visited all the manufacturers. I've learned a lot in the first session and the second one. And what I learned just now in what you said, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's actually humor. You said, why not? You said, why not to push the envelope, right? And to innovate. But you're saying that with such a nonchalance. But the funny thing is, there are only a few can. So it's not about why not. It's about the ability to do it. There are not many that can do what you guys do. Besides the capacity of being verticalized, having amazing people, and why people ask me, why are these guys always together on the screen? I said, because that's the magic duo. They marry design with technology, and not one dictates the other, where normally that's the procedure, right? Either brands say, hey, this caliber is what I have, designer, good luck, and work with it. Or the designer says, hey, I need this made, and then you need to source it from outside suppliers. But you guys have a perfect harmony marriage.
You know, if you think of probably the biggest success stories over the last 20 years, you will think people. You will think, and somewhat I would say one-man show. Many brands that popped out over the last 20 years, and even earlier. I mean, we can talk about Franck Muller, we can talk about Genta, we can talk about Daniel Roth. It's, excuse my French, it's one-man show in the sense that those people have been mastering the notion of design together with the expertise in watchmaking, and it was within one brain. Our Neuchâtel office is like this brain, and when I'm telling you this, I wish I could share with you those moments when we are talking purely R&D and innovation in calibers. I can't, because we won't share this with you, but what I can tell you though is we are working on a rotating 5-year plan on calibers. When we talk about developments for the next 3 to 5 years, Fabrizio is in the room. And then what you can understand from the brain of those people managing to connect design and innovation, we recreate this, but instead of having one brain, we've got 5, 6 brains around the table. But let's say the capacities, all the capacities, this capacity to integrate from day one, the question of aesthetics together with the question of technical performance, this is what we bring. This is the chance that we have our studio in-house, that we have Fabrizio in-house, that not only we have a designer, but we have a designer who is an expert of watchmaking. was a very, very productive interaction with our constructors. And that is why today, and let's say, the more we move forward, the more this dynamics is excellent and active, because of course we capitalize on our history, on our recent history. So today we have built something that is probably not unique, but that is becoming rarer and rarer, whereby we have both design and technology interacting, and more interacted, with more and more experts joining the discussions. And so this is a moment of, I would call it a moment of grace, because we really see the process of creation and creativity happening externally rather than inside the brand.
And I can concur that you're not sharing marketing mumbo jumbo with us, because as you know, I've been there. And on that day, Fabrizio, you were in Amsterdam, as we said in the previous session, and I fell in love with the Octo Finissimo, the Octo in general, but the Finissimo blew my mind. I fell in love with the initial, the ton sur ton dial. The dial is the same color, same finish. Everything is matte. I love titanium. I love fast satin finish. I love the case of the Octo. But then when I had my own and I started wearing it, I was blown by the fact, little things, the blind butterfly clasp, so the folding buckle. Every brand just adds on, builds up. And I hate that. So it pushes it leaves marks on my wrist like this one. You guys integrated the butterfly clasp into the titanium bracelet. And then what I want to say about your brain and your team, it isn't indeed a one-man show. Because I had a question, why did you guys use pins and tubes? And then you guys called a technician, and he was all passionate. He said, oh, thank you for asking. And he took me to the other room, and he showed me the technical drawings. And he's, Alon, we're racking our brain 2 years. We want to work with screws and this and that. And that blew my mind, that you guys went into such depth. And what I learned from the previous session we did, we see now on video how that two-fold butterfly clasp goes into the bracelet. So it's basically pushed away. And that gives you a seamless, smooth fit on your wrist. And that's what I love. And that's the finishing touch for me. Obviously, it's not the most important thing. But
Alon, I'm honest with you, it's one of the most unique elements. Here we are talking about a pure industrial design, a pure design, because, okay, the movement, the watch is absolutely unbelievable. But, you know, we put the attention in all single details. So the idea was to have the thinnest bracelet as possible for the thinnest watch on the market. We cannot apply just a buckle on the bracelet. The challenge was even the bracelet, not just the movement, the case, and the dial. It was even the buckle. So for us, it was a great achievement. And I agree with you, when you put the Finissimo with the bracelet on the wrist, you completely change the perception of the bracelet, the watch with the bracelet. It's incredible. I agree with you.
Thank you. And chapeau to you guys. Okay. Again, we're chatting so much, and I see we're already on 2/3 of a 45 minutes, but I do really want to discuss obviously the tourbillon, but we touched upon that topic the last time. What I would like to ask, if I may, how was it to take an icon from over 20 years, the aluminium, which was groundbreaking back in the day? There were an aluminium case, which I believe nobody else than Swatch used, and a rubber strap with links, basically, right? So could you guys share something about that, please?
I'm going to share with you about, because it's very funny that you're raising this question right after the previous question. So you know, I told you, so you can see the interaction between the creativity, the design, and let's say the other aspect, the more the right hemisphere of the brain, being the business or the technical parts of things. That we had a very interesting interaction with Fabrizio when it came to bringing this watch back to let's say the front line. When we first thought about it, so there's some reasons why we brought it back, but fundamentally the idea is we have an amazing chance to bear in our cupboard some of the most famous designs of the last 30 years, some designs that are highly iconic, highly recognizable, and this watch was very, let's say, was extremely complementary to the work developed on Octo. And the beauty of this watch, clearly, I mean, to make it clear, was that it was a possibility for us to propose a truly Swiss watch, an iconic design at a reasonable price. So that was the idea, and so we all agreed that we should. There has always been demand for this product. It's really something that it's the no-brainer watch. It's Swiss-made, reasonably priced. It bears a really extremely cool pieces of design, as you said, and I will let Fabrizio talk about it. But then I said so we started to discuss about the development. So I started to ask Fabrizio, we should do a bigger size. Now, modernity, you know, today, the wrist, blah, 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 blah. So bigger size, 42, 43 millimeters. And the answer of Fabrizio was no. And then I said, maybe the bezel is a little bit thick, is a little bit wide. Why don't we change it? And the answer of Fabrizio was no. So basically, the dialogue was a monologue of me talking and Fabrizio not listening. But fundamentally, Fabrizio's point of view, and this is why it's beautiful to have true experts and to have the chance to have Fabrizio on board, because Fabrizio's point of view was, we have an icon. An icon and this watch was immediately successful. This watch met people's eyes and hearts from the day one. And whatever you may say, you can talk about genius, you can talk about talents. There's a little bit of a miracle when this happens. Okay, there's a little bit of miracle when you do deliver a piece of design that lasts with all generation, that is successful across all continents. Don't play with miracles. If I may say, and in quotes, don't play with God. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think there's this. I love to hear this in the voice of the head of. You know, you tend to think that head of designs are creative directors, are not manageable. They have egos like this. And to me, this was an amazing statement of humility. That respect what is successful. Don't play, because a matter of millimeter can kill the miracle. And I think, let's say, if I have to say something about me on this story, it's the fact that I was humble enough to give the lead to Fabrizio and to not play beyond the limits, this questioning on dimensions. And when I see the result, well, there's no doubt he was right. There is absolutely no doubt. And when we listen to the reaction of the market, it's right now the right product as it is. You don't play with icons. You don't play with the Mini, or you don't play with the Fiat Cinquecento. You modernize it, but you don't play with iconic perfumes. You don't play. And it's the same. I mean, icons never die because they remain icons. And we had so I think this interaction that we have between designs or technology doesn't mean that somebody doesn't make a point at a moment. And that's how it started, from a relationship between design and technology. Now I'll let Fabrizio talk about the product.
No, thank you, Antoine. It was exactly. This is the true story behind the aluminum. You know, you have a certain golden proportion, and certain objects are almost perfect. And honestly, I'm not the designer that have to put the signature on top of all the products. For me, the watch was almost perfect in 1998, and is even today it's more perfect than in the past. So the idea was to use, for the first time, this exotic material. It was the aluminum that came from the automotive industry. It was the first space frame chassis in the industry. Today, it's more common than in the past. Everybody uses aluminum in our electronic device. So the idea was absolutely to play with exactly the same material. We improve the quality of each component, so it's a brand new watch. But the idea was to stay more close as possible with the original proportions in terms of thickness, in terms of weight, in terms of finishing of the dial. Hence, we discussed about the thickness of the painting for the indexes. We discussed the finishing of the painting for the hands. We're discussing about the all single details of the watch, because for me, the watch was almost perfect in 1998, and still today makes a great job in terms of design and proportions.
You know, think about the modernity of the piece at the time. Probably, so today, one of the recent icons of watchmaking, which is the iWatch, for what it stands. Guess what is the material of the iWatch? It's aluminium. 20 years after, I mean, 18, let's say 15 years after, Apple just came up with the same materials as the one we were using in 1998. And I guess this is just tells how advanced and how visionary the watch was at the time.
Yes, with exactly the same color scheme. So it's an aluminum case with a black screen. So it's exactly the same object. You know, Alon, everything's changed, but at the end,
you know what the difference that you throw away after 2 years, and I still have customers come in on average 30 a year to service their old aluminium, and they still wear it, and they're still looking in amazing shape. And what I love about aluminium, it gets its own identity with the scratches and the way you wear it in the course of time, especially women when they wear jewelry next to their watch.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I do agree with you guys. Icons sometimes just don't need anything because they're there, and that's exactly the case. And it indeed shows both your humbleness. So compliments on that. I love these watches. So compliments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now go to some questions. The first one. Is Bulgari happy with the Bulgari nomination for the GPHG, the Grand Prix Horlogerie Geneva?
Well, so, you know, we presented 4 watches to the GPHG, and the 4 watches are nominated. So definitely
some awards behind Fabrizio.
Sorry?
Because you guys won or behind Fabrizio, you see the awards.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we have 3 behind Antoine and 2 behind me.
Yeah. So that's amazing. You've won several already in the past. So one of the viewers asked, how important is this platform for Bulgari?
So at this stage, we're super happy because we've got 4 out of 4 for the nomination. But of course, the big race is in 1 month from now, so we have no clue about the future. But at least there is a bit of recognition in the fact that we reach the finals in every categories we're getting in, and it's clearly very important for us because it is the recognition by experts. Okay, there's a pool of several hundred people making this selection. So you're talking about your peers, you're talking about your competitors, you're talking about retailers, about the press, about watchmakers. But in this perfect result so far, there is really a recognition of the global job we are doing. So the GPHG, first and foremost, is a true recognition of the work of the people internally in the VU. As we said, from the studio, obviously, but also the watchmakers, the constructors, they own the rewards, and it's for them. You know, sometimes during these events we all say thank you and we congratulate the people in the manufacturers, but it is truly what it means. So that's why it's important, because there is not so much recognition of the people in the manufacturing sites. So here it's a true recognition of their work. Then I would say what is important is our capacity to be present year after year at the Grand Prix. It's not a one-off, it's not one moment, but we've been exposed at the Grand Prix for probably the last 10, 12 years, and we've won awards very frequently. But I think if I remember well, we have 9 awards. So for us, it's a way also to communicate to people outside our growing and continuously growing expertise in watchmaking as much as in the jewelry world. So it's also important in the fact that it is a true communication tool.
Okay, thank you for answering that. The following question is, are you bringing back the Mickey Mouse watch on the Genta platform? And there was silence.
Yes, the silence is an answer. We cannot say this is not something we're not looking into. And you can imagine that what was done 20 years ago, 25 years ago, is not that simple these days. But let's say this is something where we cannot say it's not out of the scope of the projects we are looking into.
Okay, so thank you for answering that. And obviously you have to deal with a license, so it's difficult to answer. So it's a difficult question. But you guys did bring back now this year, again, another amazing Genta that we saw in the previous session we did. Are you guys considering to bring that platform back? So the Genta platform, because it was first a brand, incorporated into Bulgari, then it was, let's say, shelved, frozen for a while, and now coming back, right? Is this something that you guys exploring that avenue?
It's not let's say it's not a project per se. It's not. I mean, we don't have the intention of rebuilding a brand per se. Conversely, what we must recognize is the heritage of Genta, and I think it's arguably the most important contributor to the watch industry of the last 40 years, 50 years, and as such, the fact that we own the brand it, and we did collaborate with him for a long period of time, means that we have a duty to pay tribute to Genta. And it's and there are different ways of paying tribute. We believe that our capacity to, from time to time, propose some modernized editions that relate to his past production is an interesting way to bring the focus back on his name, on this brand. It doesn't mean that we would necessarily bring back now a complete Genta brand. So it's more, let's say, some kind of elements of animation. Probably also a call to the people who have had a connection. We also know that we are not the only partner of Genta. He's the father of some of the most iconic pieces in the industry today. So as much as we own the brand, we don't own the designer, clearly not. And so as much as we can pay tribute to him, many other people could do so. So probably it's also a call for action to many people who want to join us in celebrating Genta in different ways, in different possibilities. So probably I would say we are exploring possibilities to maintain the visibility of Genta and his action. Rebuilding a brand today, honestly, we have a lot of work to do with Bulgari first. So we have to find a balance. So it's more a project by project approach so far, and probably we'll see in the future how we can build probably a platform for exchange communication around what we are developing these days.
Thank you for such an extensive explanation, and I love the way you said it, that it's a tribute and a homage to Genta. So that's wonderful, actually. So thank you. We have Swiss Made Obsession is one of our friends in Amsterdam. He asks, any chance we'll ever see a steel Octo Finissimo Chrono GMT? Gentlemen.
Steel. Yes.
Short answer, Swiss Made Obsession. Should I write down your order? Just hit me up, send me a WhatsApp or an iMessage. Thank you.
Well, the yes is yes, there is a chance.
Yeah, okay.
Why not?
2021. Let's see, next question. We have our friend Rocky of the Watch 4 crew, an Amsterdam gang of watch lovers. Bulgari jewelry are very colorful. Any chance the Bulgari watches will get more colors too? Like the, in brackets, watch trend nowadays with bold colored dials or rainbow colors, he asks.
We make many watches with colored gemstones, with art stones. It's a part of our DNA. Maybe watch for Rocky means a different segment. So we don't love to follow some competitors just because he makes a very rainbow color on the dial. We have to do the same. We try to do our way, and we love to play, for example, with art stones on the dial. We love to play with the colored gemstones, but we will see. Is an option. We already made since many years a colored dial. Let me say, why not? We will see. We don't have any kind of approach like that in our lineup today, even because if you make something like this, you are the second, the third one, or the fourth one. So we will see. Why not? But honestly, today we have different focus. Let me say. No?
And I understand where his question comes from. You guys obviously do your own thing. You're very innovative, where everybody's actually lagging behind you guys. The predecessor of the magnesium, or actually he came after the original magnesium, and before this one is the aluminium. I mean, is the magnesium. You guys did amazing colors there. You also did the bronze as the first one. I won't ask you about the key watch, which I found was amazing. What blew my mind was the Peacock feather dial with an original feather. I think you guys are the only one who ever did that, if I'm not mistaken. So that's on the feminine side.
Even the people who makes the dial is in love for this dial, because we have to throughout, I think, 10, 15 dials to have just one. I'm honest with you. So
I've seen them. I've seen
everybody loves the dial. It's an amazing.
I have. Let me see. I have a picture here for those that don't know what I'm talking about. So this is the watch. Stunning. This is a real peacock dial. So talking about rainbow, Rocky, what about peacock? Those are one of the most beautiful colors in nature. So thank you for answering that. Swiss Made Obsession. Question mark. Let me see what else. A question we got. When was the first serpenti design? Somebody asks. Was it the 1950s?
It was 1937. Wow. The last, yes, the last information we found a watch during an auction.
Yeah.
And it was before the 40s. So it was even a surprise for us, because, you know, Alon, at those times you make some watches and the clients get it. You don't have any description about the watch. But we found the last one, and the first Bulgari Serpenti watch that we found, it was 1936, 37.
Amazing. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Even for us, it was
very old. I always thought it was the 50s.
Even for us, I remember 46, but now we found one from 30s.
Amazing. So somebody else sent in a question last time and asks, do you, Fabrizio, also design jewelry? If so, do you enjoy one more than the other? So I think they assume to design one more than the other, if you do.
I design jewelry. I often help other business units, for example, the accessory business units. For me, the most joyful things. The most important things is to make sketches about watches, jewelry, sunglasses, or bags. For Bulgari, for me, is almost the same things. For sure, when you play with jewels in this company, is a completely, it's an amazing world, because you can play with amazing stones, you can play with amazing and technique that you could find in our jewelry atelier in Rome or in Valenza. So it's a completely different way to work. Sometimes it's a great pleasure.
Great. Rocky replied, "What a great answer! I was wrong."
Of course, of course, of course.
But Rocky,
let's say, you know, when we go for color dials on men's watches, so you do have the one-offs that are extremely successful, like the blue dial we shared at the last station. We're cautious, as Fabrizio rightly said, because of course some colors match the taste of some customers, but we cannot ask all our partners and even ourselves to bear a range of collection like this that matches the taste of a minority of people. So let's say we like to go into the color field, but in a very, I wouldn't say cautious. We need to be convinced ourselves by the color itself. So we are very selective. So there will be colors, but there will never be a full rainbow of colors in a counter, because that is not necessarily really fitting actually the neither the taste, neither the needs of our clients, or of a very small minority of them. So I think also here we also, there's a direction, there's a studio direction. So when something's right, feels right from a design perspective, from a business perspective, then we see the answer. Then so we continue to go for the black very often, okay. But once in a while, and when we see some opportunities, we would go for colored dials as well.
Just to tell you, we have our way to play with colors.
But the gentlemen were laughing. For those that are listening or are listening on a podcast, is Rocky replied while they were answering, "Don't misunderstand me. I'm a black dial guy. Alon knows, wink." So we're slowly running out of time. I have an interesting question here, actually, and I guess it's for Fabrizio. Do you sketch by hand, computer, or both? Hand. So you're old school.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that. I always love it. Whenever we design jewelry at Ace, we always do it by hand. I'm not a fan of CAD/CAM, only if it really needs to be done. But
it's a different moment of the creative process. For me, it's easier to starting from scratch with handmade sketches with ballpoint pen or fountain pen. But immediately after, we are obliged to use computer-aided design and computer-aided styling, because we have to produce the object. So my brain start to imagine lines for a drawing. So I love to make sketches by hand.
Thank you for answering that. Another one that's about creativity. Somebody asks, what do you do when you have a writer's block, and how do you break it? And I guess you guys can both answer that, because you're both creative in your own ways.
Writer's block. So you mean the
in your creative process, when you get stuck, or when you need
to
for me, is let me say, is a 24 hours process. So I start to imagine something, I have a meeting, I start to make sketches, and then another meeting. When I drive my car, I start to imagine some components. You know, each time it's a different way.
Can I say something about the way? I tend to think that when there's a block, you wait for it to disappear. I mean, I often tell the product team, the marketing team, to be patient. Just let the brain give the time. I mean, I wish the creative process was a linear process, and that you could come out every day with it, and it never happens like this.
No,
give the time to swallow a brief, to understand, and to make it a Bulgari one.
Yeah, exactly.
And you always come with a solution, but sometimes it's fast, sometimes it takes more time. It's normal.
When you have the writer's block, maybe it means it's happened for different meanings. Could be a technological issue, could be because you don't have no idea. So
bad brief, huh?
Bad brief, or you are not able to interpret the brief. It depends. Often I come back to the roots. Why we have to make these products? Who is our clients? Who is the brand? And I have 2-3 solutions, and I have to choose the Bulgari one. Sometimes when you have a block, from my point of view, I going back to the roots of the idea, and I say, okay, maybe this is not for me, this is too much, and I start to imagine the product from a different point of view.
Perfect. Thank you so much for answering. Guys, I have a lot of more questions, but I think we should slowly wrap it up. I really, really want to thank you guys for sitting with us for the second time. Next week, I'm sitting with Fred Mandelbaum. He's a big watch collector, and we're slowly gearing to another segment of the watch industry to talk about vintage and collecting, so the art of collecting. So tune in. I want to thank Antoine and Fabrizio very much. I hope to see you guys most probably not this year, but definitely next year. And if I have any more questions, I will definitely shoot them to you. Who do you guys think deserves the sketch according to the best questions today?
For me, the last one.
Rocky?
The block, the writer's block. It's the first time that I receive a question like, because often we talk about inspiration, but we never talk about the block. I think.
I will ask the team who sent in that question, and I'll email you the name. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have an amazing day and stay healthy.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.